Our AC broke. Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Today's video is going to be another one of my 5 best, 5 worst. This is a series on my channel inspired by Jamie Page where I basically just go through the 5 best and 5 worst from a certain brand. So we've done Anastasia, Fenty, ColourPop, Glossier, and today we're not really doing a brand so much as we are just like a kind of abstract cohort. Today's going to be 5 best and 5 worst of luxury makeup. Luxury makeup, I feel, for the price has no right to be as hit and miss as it actually is. There's a lot of like premium priced, very luxurious makeup items that I feel like are really special and have really special formulations or really good quality to them. And then there are some that I just feel are straight up extortion. Today I'm going to be going through, in my opinion, the 5 best and 5 worst of luxury makeup. I hope you enjoyed. Today's Dew Fairy of the day is Yasmin. Thank you so much for having your notification bell on. Full details of this look should already be on Instagram. I hope you enjoyed this video, and without further ado, let's get bougie. Being positive today and starting off with the 5 best, the first thing that came to mind when I was making this video was something that I honestly didn't think was worth it until I tried it out, and that is the YSL All Hours foundation. I generally do tend to go for like high-end foundations, but I don't usually go for luxury. I feel like luxury and high-end, for foundations at least, the kind of cutoff price is like $45. After that it's luxury. I generally go for high-end foundations just because I feel like that extra $10 or $15 or so isn't usually worth it in terms of formulation. It's also not what I typically go for in terms of finish. My ideal foundation is usually something very luminous, very dewy. Doesn't have to be the most long wearing. I generally wear my makeup for about half a workday. All Hours is probably the most long wearing foundation that I own. It's also a really nice thin texture. I feel like the reason that it looks so good on your skin throughout the day is because it doesn't have a lot of thick layers that can cake up really easily. Generally, the more coverage a foundation has, the more flawless it'll look when you first apply it, but the worse it'll look throughout the day. The more coverage you have, I feel like the more potential it has to break up throughout the day and just look bad. It's such a nice thin layer that it just glides so beautifully on the skin. It distributes that coverage really nicely, and this is one of the few foundations I have that gives you a lot of coverage but still looks genuinely like your skin up close and in natural lightings. So even though I don't need that kind of heavy duty wear every single day, this is still something that I will always have in my collection because it's just the thing that I go to for events, for like Disneyland days, just in general. When I know I want my face to look perfect and not have to worry about it, this is what I go for. The second thing is kind of the opposite of All Hours. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This product can be used in many different ways. That's probably one of its biggest assets actually, is that it's just such a multi-purpose thing. Personally, I use this as a very lightly tinted kind of foundation substitute or complexion product. It can also be used on the high points of your face as a liquid highlighter if you want to use it as that. The formula of this is very unique. I know that there are a couple dupes. I know Milani has something pretty similar, but I really haven't found anything that really replicates this formula. If you're using this as a complexion product, it has just enough like tiny amount of tint in there where it's going to even out any discoloration or redness that you have, but it still gives you this really beautiful like all over luminous glow that's not too much. It doesn't look greasy on the skin. And then if you're using this one as a highlighter, especially on top of another foundation, I feel like that small amount of tint that it has really works in its favor because it allows you to get that nice dewy glow if you're applying this over foundation, but it doesn't disrupt the stuff you have underneath. Plus you get a butt ton of product in here, so I think this is like one of the most worth it luxury makeup products in my opinion. I'm in the shade Too Light Clair. For foundation purposes, I don't think you really need a super good skin match. I would say that this isn't like 100% precise, but it's still, because it's a very light coverage product, it works really well for me. So this is by far my favorite thing from Charlotte Tilbury and definitely had to make it onto the list. Luxury brands are not generally where I turn to for eyeshadows. In fact, the worst eyeshadow formula I've ever tried is going to be in the worst section of this video. For me, luxury eyeshadows tend to not be worth it, with the exception being Marc Jacobs. Marc Jacobs has these iconic eyeshadow palettes. I know they have a bunch of different color schemes of these. My favorite is the Scandalous palette, but this was my little introduction to Marc Jacobs' formula, and I think that these are stunning. This is a very modern Renaissance-y color scheme, obviously, but for me, what makes this formula really special, and this palette in general really special, is just the richness of the shades in here. For example, this brown down here, it has this kind of like almost like reddish purpley tone undertone to it, but it's still a very nice rich chocolate brown. It just has a little bit of a unique tone on the eyes where it just looks so deep and rich and beautiful. Marc Jacobs' formula is really good, almost pigmented to a fault. So here's this kind of like cranberry shade, like
Oh my god.
And if I blend it out with my finger, it still diffuses really nicely as well. I feel like this formula is so underrated, especially amongst like huge eyeshadow lovers, which I get because I wouldn't really think to go to Marc Jacobs for eyeshadows either. I generally think that luxury brands do like complexion products most. This is one of my favorite formulas, and I just love the kind of conciseness of this palette. It's obviously, it's not a ton of product, but I just feel like having 7 colors in here gives you enough to do a lot of different looks with this one. I feel like I can get a lot of different things out of this color scheme, but I'm not overwhelmed with choices, whereas like if I had a gigantic Morphe palette in front of me, I would probably throw it out the window. I've tried the green one, I don't remember what it's called, but personally Scandalust is my favorite. In general though, Marc Jacobs eyeshadows are top tier. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include Hourglass. I generally think of like designer brands as luxury makeup, but Hourglass kind of straddles between high-end and luxury, but definitely their pricing falls into the luxury standpoint, so they're in here. I don't even like powder. This means a lot to me. I don't powder my face down on a daily basis. The most I will do is a little bit of powder on my forehead just to kind of even out everything, and I have a lot of like texture on my forehead, so I feel like powder really smooths it out. But my main thing with powders is that I feel like a lot of the time I'll like spend so much time getting this nice beautiful dewy wet glazed skin-like looking skin, and then I'll put powder on top of it and it just kind of kills the effect. This powder, so beautiful, very, very, very finely milled. The packaging is okay for me. It doesn't get messy, which I feel like is a huge problem for most powders that I own. This just solves the problem for me. It gets me that nice long wearing effect that I want from powdering my face, but it also doesn't kill the skin that I worked so hard to kind of like get to the effect that I want. It doesn't go crepey throughout the day. I tend to reserve this for using on like my skin rather than my under eyes, but it does still look nice on the under eyes as well. It's not shimmery to a point where I feel like it looks like a highlighter on your face, but it has this tiny bit of luminescence to it where I feel like even if you are wearing a very matte foundation, just dusting this on top kind of wakes it up and makes your skin look like skin. So this powder I think is a very, very special product and something that I can't replicate in my collection. The 5th thing in the best category I don't have with me right now. I finished this bottle quite a while ago I think, and I've just been waiting to repurchase because I've been trying to finish up my other foundations, but the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. This foundation I feel like was one of the most hyped up foundations when I entered the kind of makeup sphere and started watching makeup YouTube, which was kind of weird because back then everyone was like very into the full-on like full coverage matte beat, which I don't think people are into as much anymore. I love that dewy skin has had a comeback. Obviously that's my preferred finish, but luminous silk I feel like has been loved for such a long time, even before luminous skin was a thing, because makeup artists love doing dewy skin. I generally think dewy skin looks better. Luminous Silk is just another foundation that looks so beautiful in person. I feel like most foundations can look really good on camera depending on what lighting you're using. If you have a ring light, your face is going to look blurred no matter what. It honestly kind of reminds me a little bit of the ABH Luminous Foundation, so honestly I think I could probably just not repurchase Luminous Silk and just keep using this one. But that foundation I think is just a cult favorite for a reason. It is such a good formulation and I feel like it works for most skin types, including oilier skin types who maybe wouldn't want to go for most luminous foundations, but that one just looks so good. So those are my 5 best, and now onto the travesties.
Art is supposed to look pretty and not like a clown.
Starting off with one that I have a bit of a complicated relationship with. This is in the 5 worst, not because I don't like it right now. I actually really like it at the moment, but because I can't depend on liking it in the future. Okay. The Chanel bronzer. This is a cream bronzer, beautiful, bougie, amazing packaging. They've changed the name. It used to be Sur les Teintes de Chanel and now it's Les Beige. From Bellman and Solier. It's just this beautiful, beautiful cream bronzer. I think this tone is beautiful. I'm wearing it on my face today. I think the tone of this is really, really nice. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a warmer version of the Milk Makeup Baked Bronzer, which I love. Again, I wouldn't really say it's shimmery, but it does have a little bit of gold running throughout it. At least mine does. Mine is relatively new right now, but yeah, this is a huge favorite of a lot of people. I don't remember whose recommendation I bought this one on, but the first time I got this, I absolutely hated it. I feel like the thing with this product is that the formulation I really can't depend on to be a good constant thing. It was really, really patchy, just did not blend well. I felt like it looked really straight up orange on my skin tone. The thing is though, I don't think that inconsistency is due to the fact that they've changed the name and the formulation. I think that their just general product is pretty inconsistent because I've seen other ones in the new Les Beige formula, except they have a little bit more glitter in them. Mine has this very tiny, like you probably even couldn't see it if you weren't looking at it in natural light, but there's this very tiny, finely milled amount of gold in it, whereas I've seen other ones that look straight up shimmery, which I don't think is what they're going for. And I've seen some people complaining that their formulation is really patchy, whereas others say that theirs blends perfectly. So for that reason, I'm pretty wary of the Chanel bronzer. And I feel like if you're paying that kind of premium, you should be able to expect good quality from a makeup product and good quality with consistency. So, as promised, the aforementioned worst ever eyeshadows I've ever tried, Charlotte Tilbury. I've waxed poetic about Charlotte Tilbury's awful eyeshadows, particularly her 4-pan quads, which I believe are called her luxury palettes. There's a lot of audacity to call quad a palette, but that's, we're going off topic. The formula. Ma'am. I had the Vintage Vamp palette, which honestly, I feel like the colors in there should not be difficult to formulate. It's really hard to mess up those colors, I feel. The shimmers were just really, really dry. I felt like they crumbled a lot, were really, really flaky and not creamy as I would like them to be. I know that they were supposed to be more kind of like foiled metallic shades, but I didn't feel like they really delivered on that impact. They just kind of looked dry and crumbly on the eyes. So the Vintage Vamp palette I definitely would not recommend to anybody, but I have tried other Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows, and genuinely I feel like the only good ones I've tried have been shades that honestly are really difficult to mess up. So like a very light mid-tone brown shade or a very soft like champagne shimmer. I do really like the color layouts of a lot of their little luxury quads, but I don't think the formulation is up to par. So Charlotte Tilbury's eyeshadows, never again. Okay, the Pat McGrath lip balms. Yeah, I bought one of the lip balms from the Star Wars collection, but just in general, Pat McGrath has these. Lip Fetish, I believe. Lip Fetish lip balms. Mine is in the shade Gold Astral from the Star Wars collection. I was actually really excited about this. I was expecting a lot. I am a huge lip balm fiend, and I love trying out new formulations. So right now I'm trying to pan the Tatcha one, but I was quite excited about the Pat McGrath one. I was very aware of the fact that it wasn't necessarily going to be a skincare geared lip balm. It's definitely more of like a makeup-y lip balm, where it's not supposed to be like the most hydrating, the most like lip caring balm ever, but it's supposed to be pretty. The thing is, this does nothing. This doesn't really deliver at all on any type of lip hydration, so I like to apply this one before applying lipstick. I just wanted to see if it would give me a nice hydrated base where I could put on like a matte lipstick on top of it and it wouldn't feel disgusting. It did not do that. The shimmer particles in here also really, really gritty, so it felt like I was kind of applying this very light, almost like sandpaper effect to my lips. I will say it smells and tastes delicious. It's kind of like a vanilla flavor, but for $30-something, I'm gonna use this one up and I'm gonna keep the component because it is a collectible item, but I will never ever buy another Pat McGrath lip balm. I know she does have that $25 pack of 3 mini lip balms in this packaging at Sephora, but I think that's not even worth it. Ooh, okay, yeah, hold on, I still have this. The 𝓽𝓻𝓪𝓿𝓮𝓼 Couture Everywhere. Ooh, just did not sit well on my skin. It couldn't sit. It had hemorrhoids. I think this was kind of trying to be along the same vein or vibes as the YSL All Hours 24-hour wear SPF, but that means nothing in a foundation. Actually a lot of similar ingredients, so I was kind of expecting a lot out of this foundation, and I love the packaging. It kind of has a similar component design to the 𝓽𝓻𝓪𝓿𝓮𝓼 bag, which I love. This for me has the same level of coverage as All Hours, even though it says that this one is satin finish and that All Hours is matte. This I felt like was a lot drier than the All Hours foundation, and it dried down really, really quickly to a point where I felt like it was very, very hard to work with. And even if I worked in sections and just tried to like do forehead first and then blend that out, I still felt like it was very, very hard to move around, and then once it was there, if it started to break up in place, it was really, really hard to kind of remedy it. To me, 24-hour wear means nothing, because if it's gonna be on my face all day, okay, but I want it to look nice throughout the day. The best long-wearing foundations, I feel like they look even better throughout the day. Like as the day goes on, as your kind of natural oils break through the foundation, it just starts to look skin-like and just really, really nice and natural, whereas this one just looks a mess. Somehow it started off as like really, really matte and really dry and powdery on the face, and then it looked straight up greasy by like hour 8 or 9. I haven't seen a lot of people really enjoying this one either, so I don't think I'm alone in that. And last but not least, I don't have it with me. I had a sample of this one from Sephora, so that was how I tried it out. It was one of those like, it was a very small little bottle of it, but it was still a pretty substantial amount that I was able to try it out for a long time. The Marc Jacobs Shameless Foundation. This, I was not alone in my opinion. I feel like everybody hated this foundation when it came out, which was really weird because I felt like Marc Jacobs was on a really good streak at the time. Drying, strange amount of coverage where it would look really full coverage in certain places and really like breaky up and gross in certain places. Particularly, I felt like it sat really weirdly on my nose. Granted, my nose sucks, so a lot of foundations don't sit great on it. That's one of the many things I hate about it. All Hours, amazing on my nose. I've found certain ones that just have formulations that work on all parts of my face, whereas the Marc Jacobs one, I felt like it just sunk into my pores and emphasized everything, while also just having the most disappointing, like, uneven coverage on the face. So that was not a good time for me. I still think it's being sold though. I've seen it in Sephora, like, well, I haven't been to Sephora in like 6 months, but I've seen it in Sephora this year, so I still think it's being sold, but I can't imagine how well it's selling. And that is 10 products. So that was my 5 best and 5 worst of luxury makeup. Obviously I have a lot of things in here that I probably could have included in either category, but those are like the ultimate top 5 best and top 5 worst. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you want me to do for the 5 best 5 worst series next. I have a couple different brands I could probably do, and they don't have the poll cards anymore, which is disgusting. So I might do a community tab poll, or I might just ask you guys on Twitter or Instagram or something. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed down below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wait, TikTok might be gone by the time I post this. Follow me on TikTok if it's still there. And if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme, which is also probably going to be from TikTok. Rest in peace, TikTok, if it's gone by the time I post this. Bye.
Hey, we got the accent challenge. Shout with me today. From 1 to 10. Bing. Alright, number 1, we got Bean. Number 2, we got Heat. Number 3, we got It. Number 4, we got Beet. Number 5, we got Number 6, we got Cheat.